Spincast Cycling Show. Brian Kellison, Brian White, no camera. Lisa Vries, Casey Shum. Hello, everyone. Good? Casey's...
Hello.
Casey's in, like, an old hotel room or something? What is that? You have the old blinds
In my
going.
dining room. It's just
Okay.
a bad lighting, I think.
Yeah.
Old hotel room.
No, just like old blind, you know. Hey, you have
Yeah.
old decor. Sorry, I'm calling you out on the
It
show.
is, no?
Yeah.
It's the one room we haven't done anything with.
Yeah, there you go. So we were just talking about this offline, but let's get into it. I had a fun race, last minute race on Bike Terra, but we all kind of raced this week. Yeah, we all raced. I think the three of us did the Bike Terra. Brian White did the, the Sunday Race Club, and then I watched other people race. So let's talk about some racing that's happening because I'm motivated with my training stuff.
Zwift race as well.
I've done a few Swift races this week too.
Okay,
Yeah.
then let's talk about it. I'm curious. Let's talk about the Bike Terra one first, and then we'll do Sunday Race Club. Unless Brian, you're here, let's do Sunday Race Club because you're going to be in and out of the show. Let's do Sunday Race Club. How is it? I was woken up by my cat at 3 a.m. for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh no, my dog woke me up. My dog woke me up to go out to the side to go outside to go to the bathroom, and then at 5 o'clock my cat woke me up. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, why am I up? Well, because I just got woken up. I'll check and see. Everyone's on. You're on. Holly's on. Randy's racing. Everyone's racing because it's Sunday Race Club. And I'm just seeing you suffer for at least 10 minutes. It looked like 10 minutes, but then it became like a 17-minute climb.
Yeah. That first one was 17 minutes, and then the ones after that were anywhere from 12 to 14. The Sunday Race Club, whoever is in charge, chose the endurance climb, which, if anyone is not familiar with the endurance climb, the actual endurance climb is 56 kilometers, and it's like 2,800 meters of climbing. Now, we did 45 kilometers of it, and we did 8 steps of it. So basically, you have 8 12 to 17-minute climbs, and it was brutal.
Up and down? I can't remember. I was in and out of sleep.
It was just up. Yeah. Within
up
Sunday
and then
Race
flat.
Club.
I remember it was up and then flat, and then another one up.
Yep. That's what it did. 8 times. And the women had 35 kilometers of the same exact thing. So, I mean, I'm in decent shape, and I paced just to finish it. I didn't actually race it. There were people that were 4 hours to finish it, and that's incredible.
That would have been me.
It's incredible that they stuck through to the finish to do that, because I paced it at anywhere from 4 to 4.2 on each of the steps, and that's what my limit was. I couldn't do any more. But I knew I approached it as a workout more than an actual race because I wasn't in the shape. And the guys in Cat 4 that raced it, they're legends. It's unbelievable the power they repeated up there, up through the climb. It's phenomenal. And that was a brutal course. It was a really hard day. That's for sure.
I thought it was up and down. Like it was like 8 loops of the same 17-minute climb. That's what I was texting. I was in your chat.
Yeah.
And I was like, just do another 17 minutes. I can't remember exactly. I was so in and out of stuff. But that's what I thought it was. It was like you're doing 8 laps of this 17-minute climb.
So is this SRC course that was today, is this why I see Holly Bergen on her Instagram page burning the route map?
Yeah.
Yes, that is
a
why.
very funny joke. I love. She was in our Discord chat. She printed out the profile of the Sunday Race Club stage 3 of this session, and she like lit it on fire in her barbecue outside or whatever.
And there was a lot of people that were like, "Hell yeah, light that on fire."
Yeah, it was miserable.
It was. It must have been miserable.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no downhill.
Yeah. It was you climb for 12 to 17 minutes. You had maybe 3 to 5 minutes of I don't even know how much it was of flat 0%. That's it, just 0%, and then another.
I remember that.
So
and people were grouping up together, right?
Yeah. So with the new draft dynamics, you couldn't really draft on the climb, obviously, but on the flat, if you had anyone near you, it was like a rocket ship. I was solo on one of the bumps, and 2 guys behind me doing less watts per kilogram caught me. You know, they were catching me, so I just gave up and let them go because
on
one
the
was in my
climb,
category.
and you guys all grouped up together on the flat.
Yeah, see, I had gapped them on the climb. So on that flat, there was two guys together. They were gaining time on me doing less watts per kilogram, so I just slowed down, and then we actually caught 2 other people. So like it was a big aspect. And I talked to one of the guys that I think he was a top 5. I forget his exact placement. He said that he did it the one other time they did it in August. He said the draft was so powerful in a group as they were racing. He said that he didn't go right off the bat. He was starting to pace it, and then I forget. He said part way up on the first climb, he was like, I'm just going to go catch them and see what happens.
So there's a strategy to get on the flat with people.
Yeah.
So suffer through the climb to like, hey, I got to stay with these group of people so they can go. I remember seeing like the Cat 2s or Cat 3s, and Nathan Guerra was in that.
Yes, Cat 3.
And I think that was on your first climb. Maybe it was your first 17-minute climb or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was the like, first. Yep.
So you're in 4 or you're in 5? What are you?
I'm in 4.
4. So it's 1, 2. Is everyone in the same race? They just start in different times. Isn't that how it works with Cincinnati Race Club?
Yes, and that's another thing I was going to kind of complain about that we really need addressed. But basically, for Eastern time, 5:30. I'm pretty sure it's 5:30. Cat 6 starts. Then 5:35 Cat 5, 5:40 Cat 4, and then Cat 3 is at 5:45, and then at 10 till 6 Cat 2, and then at 6 the pros start Cat 1. And you know, as you're going along, you can draft on the other categories. Yeah. So like there was one guy, I forget his name, he had a kind of funky name, but he was in Cat 2 or Cat 3, I'm sorry, he was in Cat 3, and we were climbing about the same, and it was nice having that partner there to kind of like pace and along with, which I will go back to. I was anywhere from 100 to 60th. No idea what category I am. So Scott Cunningham was in my chat and was kind of like, we're getting to the top, and I'm pretty much knocking out these steps at the exact same pace, and I'm passing people, and I can see 7 and 8 dots in front of me. So I'm like, I think I've climbed up into the money. Well, at one point he's like, yeah, I think you're 7th. So he's also looking. I'm looking. I thought I was in 7th. He said I was in 8th or whatever it was, or vice versa. I crossed the finish line. I'm 16th. I'm like, that was so like.
Now, how are you looking up? Like, how was he looking? Was he in the race, or was he?
No. He was looking at my mini map. Because
yeah,
the way
so that's why I'm asking. How are you looking up? Like in Zwift, you can click on the rider list and move up, but you can't really zoom in to see who's like the dominating category. I think is the dot, right? Isn't that right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Like if it's an A category rider, usually it's a red dot.
Well, so within MyWhoosh, like the red dots are Cat 4. And that's what we were just counting the red dots on the mini map as it snaked up the climb. And so we were counting the dots, the red dots we could see. And that was frustrating because
so your calculations were off because the rider list is everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to placings and competing on the road during the event, you would like some clarity on who's who.
Yeah, it would be really nice.
I think we've spoken about that before.
Zwift has it to where some events, it's mass start, everyone's out there, but you only see your category. And that would be phenomenal if MyWhoosh would adopt something like that to where we can just see Cat 4 or Cat 5, or whatever your category is. Now, I don't care if everyone's out in the course together, but in the leaderboards, just seeing your category would be phenomenal.
I mean, it could even be as simple as that number you were saying, right? You had 60th or 100. If they would just give you that number out of your category, you may see 100 people on the road, but if it said 15th, then you know you're 15th in your category.
Yeah, total riders in the event, and then in your category. You're placing in your category, which is like what you do on a regular, like a road race, where you know the numbers. Like I've been in a race where I didn't know the numbers. The numbers were randomized for the two categories I was racing with. So it was raced together, scored separately, and they mixed up the numbers, because usually if you have like the 400s, if like when we did 45 plus and 40 plus and 45 plus, I think that's what we did in a district road race, and they were like, usually it's the 400s are the 40 plus, and then 45 0, so 450 and above, or go backwards from 499. So the high numbers would be the 45 category, and the low numbers in the 400s. They should do something like that across all of the platforms, right? If you have large numbers of participants, like Zwift and MyWhoosh does. So you didn't finish the number because, well, you were frustrated because you didn't know exactly where you were.
Right. And I was guessing.
You were guessing.
I had thought that I'd got into a money position, the top 10. And then when I crossed the line, I was not, I think I was 16. Yeah, I was 16. So I was 6 positions away, and I was about 4 minutes from getting there. But I mean, overall, like that was an incredibly difficult ride. I performed better than I thought, so I can't be complaining with my race.
Okay.
But
very cool. Let's go into the Bike Terra one then. So the Bike Terra, which was Friday at 11 Pacific. Lee did it. I was watching Felty. He was like there, and then Casey, you kind of, I was watching kind of both you guys do it. And then Felty, Aku from Finland, friend of the show, he was like, hey, you should do it. You have 30 minutes left. I'm like, and I heard, and then I was like, no, it's 13 minutes. I heard 30, and I think he said 13. And then I looked at his thing. I'm like, oh, I can do that. So I go out there and I get dressed and everything, and I have like 3 minutes to go to get on. And I knew it was going to be, I saw the profile when I was watching Felty's stream. It's the old Cap 4 mentor from RGT. There you go, everybody. RGT early on. But the course didn't give the lead in like it was in RGT where I could warm up. It was like the part where you just go up the climb, and we were going straight up the hill, Casey. And I was like, just trying to hang. I was like going really deep on that first. It was like seemed like the first like 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was probably a 10 or 12 minute kickoff, and it was the first hill was just shallow enough of a gradient to get a little bit of that draft, to hold it together. And so I think we ended up with a half dozen over the top, I think, like kind of together. It was a fantastic route, honestly. It was tough, but I enjoyed the draft on it.
I did too.
I enjoyed the race, yeah.
Maybe I felt like we were going too fast up the hill.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe that's where it can be improved. But here's the one thing I did enjoy, regardless of the effort, because I was like really going deep to go up this hill and stay with the lead groups with you guys. When the lead rider is off the front, or just like kind of bubbling off the front, or setting that little tip of the arrowhead, the next rider, or if there's a little gap between either riders, they would get out of the saddle, and you would kind of have that sort of weaving, kind of real weaving look. So the feel of it and the visual of it felt really comfortable. Like it felt really comfortable to me.
Yeah, and I know you use this term a lot, but I think Bike Terra might have that flow down like that. There's something about how that interaction works, and how the draft and all of that. It feels right in Bike Terra. It is a very strong draft if you have a large group of people, but I think that's real, right? It's like, because I'm not saying that as if they need to fix it. It's just an observation. And I think the only thing that they, and I think Matt has said he's considered this, is working a little bit on that slingshot, because there's, in real life, you have something, like you have to actually pull out and go around somebody. Like, Felty would get a second or two off the front, and you could just rip through the pack and kind of yank the rubber band a little bit, and you'd snap right back to him. I mean, you had to do the effort to do it, but you could really slingshot and burst out of that pack and get on the flats and come across that.
I think there's some. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I like it.
I liked it too, and the visual of sort of that little side to side floating when they get out of the saddle, because some people are not as proficient with staying straight when they're sitting in and really grinding it out, and some people do rotate back and forth. I think the one thing we did talk about in the Discord was the aggressive braking on the downhills.
I was getting aggravated because I was with Lee. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but to me, it's part of the gameplay of all these softwares is about getting better at the game and gaining an advantage.
You muted.
Just on the descent, I bumped the touchpad. On the descents, I want to use those brakes and bursting out of the brakes to my advantage, right? Like I want to use that feature in the gameplay to my advantage, but there was points in that downhill where there was so much braking, you couldn't take advantage of it, and I was like,
that's where my frustration was. Yeah,
I like the braking, but it's like it was almost too aggressive at times.
And the delay of the Bluetooth, where I was trying to, because you and I have a lot of, and Lee too has a little bit of the again RGT know-how of like the way that we were braking in RGT, and you would come in and come out of that, regardless of if it was race mode or direct connect. We knew that we would go in a little bit and then come out. We could pedal. I mean, some of those little crits that we did on the Tuesday nighter, we could do that sort of like come into the corner and then kick out of the corner and get a little bit of advantage. I was saying this, I don't know if it was in chat or in the Discord or whatever. I think that there should be an advantage for a solo rider trying to catch back up to not have the danger, or it'd be like less auto braking, because then you could take the advantage of not wanting to collide with somebody when it's like 2 or 3 people in a corner. They're slowing a little bit more because they're cautious of the other riders.
That would be a fantastic feature, because it's true and it's realistic. If you're solo, because there was a few turns that I was watching the speed and I'm like, man, I would not be slowing down to 30.
The more shallow turns. There was a couple shallow turns. It wasn't like a 90 degree.
Everyone is going that slow, so it wasn't just me like getting brake to 30, but solo, because that's exactly what would happen. Is if you were chasing solo, you would be just like flying. I mean, not a
or if you're off the front solo and there's a chase group, you're taking the corners a little bit more.
What you would try to do is cresting the climb. You'd be like, I got to break away from this group at the top of the climb so I can get solo on this downhill to get, bonus solo speed.
Yeah, let them have like 10% more as a minimum speed in the corner, right? If it's a 20-mile-an-hour corner, give them 22 if they're the leader, right? Because you can hit the apex, you can go all the way to the shoulder on the way out, right? You don't have somebody on your hip, you're not having, and that's the way it is in real life, right? Like if you're in a pack, if you got people up alongside you, you're not sure, you don't trust the guys around you, whatever that is, right? You're going to hold back a little bit. But if it's completely open road, nobody's around, you can take it from rail to rail on every corner. You can hit them.
And some of the corners, like I was saying, the shallow ones where you can see up the road. So some of those tight hairpins where you're like, I don't know, or I don't know the course, that would be like a little more cautious. But the ones where you're like, it's shallow enough where I can see that I'm going to, either cross the center line, even though we're not allowed to cross the center line in Bike Terra, or even in real racing, at least in the United States. But having that sort of like a percentage advantage that you can then build upon. And let's say this is sort of like a slight innovation or something that's like progressively, if you do the corner, if you come out of the apex in the right spot, you get a bonus of get that little extra speed coming out. But if you go into the corner, you don't slow or stop pedaling or slow into the corner and then pedal out of the corner properly, it'll slow you down.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was thinking.
You would go too long,
On a course like that, there was so many, and actually Ruby as well, there was a lot of routes that I've been doing lately that have had auto braking on the downhills. And that's what I was thinking, is there should be some sort of mechanic in place where if you stop pedaling at the right time and start pedaling at the right time, it gives you like a bonus, or doesn't hinder you. Like if you pedal through the corner, even though
progressively
it says braking,
it's
it should say, whoa, you're pedaling when you shouldn't be. And then it like gives you a negative,
it slows you more.
Because that's like the
something.
gamification.
Yeah.
Because if you come out of a turn and you can time the moment the braking has won and you're on the gas, it gives you a little boost. Gamification, it's a video game. That would be a skill that you would need to develop as a benefit to
and at effort after you're recovering. Like that's the thing, is like I suffered up the first climb and I'm coming back and I got dropped a little bit because I lost contact with you guys.
Is that?
And then I was like, what's that?
That route, I've ridden that route on RGT probably 20 times. One of my favorite routes on RGT.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember it having that much hill climbing.
Oh, no, there was that much hill climbing. I just think the middle part was way too steep.
I think I did. I think I just did 22%. I don't think workouts. I think I was just doing workouts all the time.
Yeah, you were doing
and
a lot of
noticing the hill because I was like, man, I did some hill.
I did a
going
French
up to the
race
tunnel,
on there.
That stupid section before the tunnel. Holy crap!
I think that part was too steep. I think the first part was more realistic of what it used to be, but that really steep part after right before the tunnel was
longer than I thought it would be. I ended up doing like 3:30 for 12 minutes up that thing, because I set a new intervals bumped my FTP 15 watts on that one. Zwift bump, that's a whole nother story. Zwift bumped me up to 3:02 after that ride. Then I set a 5-minute PR yesterday, and Zwift forgot how to do math. So
the races in Bike Terra have been super fun. And
so there's a Tuesday. Let's give people the information on this. Tuesday is a race at 10:30, which I think is done by
their event
Walter
calendar
Claus.
is very easy to read as well.
Yeah.
On their website,
biketerra.com for sure. And it was really quick to get on. One thing I didn't get my heart rate connected in time. That's the one thing is the connectivity. And I know they're working on. They have a Mac. I think they're in a beta right now of a Mac client and a Windows client to help with that sort of connectivity thing.
Messaged Matt because it does not like the 4i Viva heart rate monitor.
It didn't like my Polar VeraSense either. It didn't see that.
It thinks the Viva heart rate monitor is a power meter.
Oh, all right.
I would say that might be, it's something weird with it being a bridge device or something, maybe.
Well, I messaged Matt and I was like, 4i Viva. And he's like, I've never even heard of that. And I'm like, it's the best heart rate monitor you can buy. It's like,
because it's also a bridging device. So
yeah. It's Canadian. That's why he likes it. They're
from
Canadian.
Alberta.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bike Terra, man. It's funny you mentioned the draft because on the flats, it's magical.
Okay. There's another, it is magical in the draft. It is magical in the draft. And there's a little draft indicator. I think it could be
if you hit
more
50,
clear,
you don't even
but
need to pedal.
Yeah. But there's another thing about Bike Terra feature request. It's the oh goodness, I lost my train of thought. It was the I've come back to it. I apologize. I was thinking of it. It was a feature request that I was doing in the race. I can't remember what it is, and now I'm derailing the show. Anyone else have anything else? I'll try to remember.
Well, I was just going to say the drafting, like coming from other cycling apps, it seems extreme. But compared to real life, Casey and I were talking at another time, it's realistic. Like if you've ever done a fondo or done a group ride when you've been in a pack of like 30, 40 people, you barely pedal. The group almost pulls you along.
Yeah.
And Bike Terra matches that. Like when we were on that flat race, the OTR race last Friday, it was really flat. If you were drafting, you were doing you're still doing watts, but you had to soft pedal a lot.
There's a lot of there's ability to recover in Bike Terra,
which
is like RGT,
and you get to do attacks.
Yeah.
You can actually use that recovery to actually race. It's just not an individual TT. and no other app since RGT
and the reason why
is
they've spoken to the guy who created RGT. I think that they've spoken to him, or they've, you know, just in passing or whatever through the internet. But they've also like taken a lot of input from the RGT faithful about the how the draft was working in RGT and kind of the wins from that and not the negatives, right?
Yeah, and what they need to make sure they stick with, because this is where you get in trouble with that, is the draft is great, but they can't get into the mode of every race has to be a flat race and it's pack almighty, right? Because they've got a draft that can create that. But they're doing a pretty good job of having different types of courses where it just takes, it doesn't have to be a hilly course, but give us a few, like you were saying at the start there, right? You had a 3-4% gradient for that first 5 or 10 minutes, right? The draft helped you up that climb, but you still needed to kind of match some efforts to get up that. And if you make sure your courses have some of those dynamics in them generally, right? You can have a flat course here and there, but the draft is really good.
It mirrored more of what I see in real life in the races that I've done. I'm a bigger guy. The flat race, I can punch above or below my weight category or above it. And I held the front group way longer than I ever would in a Zwift, MyWhoosh, TPV race. Yeah. But my weight reared its ugly head on last Friday's race because it was mostly climbing. So I placed, I think, 7th the previous Friday, and I placed 14th. This Friday. Yeah. And that's what I see in real life. Like if I go into a race and it's a flat crit, I can usually hold the front group for the majority of a flat crit. You add a hill in there, I'm off the back.
You are second in our age group, Lee.
Because I've done 2 races.
You and I, first and second right here in the age group.
I didn't even know there was results.
Yep. He posts them on Facebook. I'm actually leading this series right now. But there's a few guys that are going to challenge me. Jojo from Discord, friend of the show, he's battling it out with me. And when they get done, they drop your worst race, so you can miss one. So right now I kind of have the lead also because I've done all 3 of this series so far. If you actually dropped one of them, it'd be pretty dang close at the top between a few of us, because there's a couple guys that have done 2 of them that have been up there, on the podium with me.
I remember what I wanted feature request in the rider list. The 200 meters, when it's under a kilometer, I wish it was the 100. It was the 100.
Oh, like it says 0.20.
Yeah, instead of 0.20.
You're doing the math in your head.
Yeah, you're like, oh, is that 200 meters? And then essentially it goes once it goes to double digits, it's like 80 meters, right? Okay. That's at least in the kilometers. I don't know how it looks like on miles or whatever, but that would be a feature request, because you're starting to use that. Yes, another cool thing is there's no watts per kilo in the rider list. Like you're just oh, is there watts per kilo? There is. I think there is.
There's something there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah, that's a good, because there was a guy gaining on our group and he was 0.14 meters back, and then he was 0.13, but because it doesn't show the 3rd decimal place, it's hard to tell, because he just sort of hangs out in the 0.14 category for a while, and then it goes to 0.13, and you're like, oh, he's still gaining.
Yeah. I got caught by 2 people after the first climb, because I was with the lead group on the first climb, and then I was like, I don't want to hang on the second part. I'm just like, I'm hurting. But I was like, how far away are they? And you're doing it'd be better if it was like the RGT. Just don't do the decimals if it's under a kilometer. Just turn it to meters. So if you're
immediately go from
if you're 400 meters away, just put 400 and just do triple. But I don't know if that's a spacing issue or whatever. But the cool thing was 18 riders, and like you guys said like we said at the beginning of the show, or this is right before we started the show, was all group, and you just find out where you just slot in where you are.
I love mass start.
Yeah, and you're just like,
I don't know what people don't get about it. Yeah, 18 riders. We all started. The fast guys went fast. The slower people went slow. I raced with 4 people. almost the entire race, I had 4 people that I was with. Did I know what category they're in? No. Do I care? No, because I was just racing.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. I was just like, oh, I'm in the lead group. I got to go through it. And then I look up the road and I'm like, and I love the profile because I can see kind of how much is left, because the mini map doesn't really give you that much. It does, maybe, I don't know, but I just like the profile look. And I'm like, okay, we're going to flatten out a little bit here, and then the gradient's going to go, and I'm going to have to do another effort. Can I hang with them? If anyone attack, because Felty was like, he would go to the front and then he would like do like a faux attack or just move to the front or whatever it was. And that's the nonverbal like cues you got to look for is somebody attacking or is somebody just moving to the front and they're getting in their own pace. And that's why I'm cool with like getting up to the front and sort of like hanging in and trying to just set my own pace. If anyone would have attacked me, then it would have been much harder to stay.
Yeah, Jansen saved it. Jansen sent it on that steep bit, and I'm like, as soon as we hit the bottom of the steep bit, like I set it at what I thought I could hold on to, maybe, and Hansen just like immediately went to like 5.5 and took off. And I think Jojo Rusinek was thinking about holding on to it, right? Yeah. Like he got in front of me, and I was still getting a little draft on him, but he was kind of stretching it. We got about halfway up there, and I just kind of held right there. I was like, and I'm thinking, like, if he doesn't back off before the top of the hill, like, I'm done. And we got about 2/3 up the hill, and all of a sudden he pulled in behind me, and I was like, all right, he's letting me set. I was like, oh, thank you, because I wasn't going to be able to hold on to him all the way up the hill at that pace. But he finally, like, I think it was one of those things, like, I'm going to keep the pressure on to see if Jansen slows down as he gets on this climb, and he just kept on going. So then it was like he dialed it back, and we just got, I think we both were absolutely on the limit getting over top of that.
Yeah.
And then Felty kind of stuck with us. Felty was struggling with, he's running single speed, and there's not virtual shifting that works very well. He's trying to hack the virtual shifting.
He's waiting for Elite to release their firmware. I know. And Matt,
somebody needs to send Felty a cassette. Like,
yeah. Totally. Final thing on the Bike Terra is I love the visual look. Some people were commenting in my chat about how it looks like was it Commodore 64 or whatever it was.
I kind of like it.
No, I like it. Now, when it comes to the racing, it was hard for me to know who Casey was versus the other person, because you guys look the same. All it was like a slight shade of black of your shorts. That's the only way I could tell. Like, you had like a darker pair of shorts versus the other person, which I think we need a little bit more. It would be nice to have a little bit better indicators of who's who. I
raced in like the first person mode, and the previous race, the OTR stage 2, Casey and I were both orange.
Yep.
So if I could see an orange person, I knew that was Casey, but everyone else, I have no idea who's who.
I had done the same thing. If you get into a small enough group and you have enough variability in colors, right? But what I didn't know, and I haven't researched, is can you change your color?
Yeah.
Right. So
you can. It's web colors.
Okay. So if you can change the colors, because that is one thing, is identifying the different riders. When we get into a small group, you can pretty much, we got that kind of sorted later in the race, but earlier in the race, and like when Lee and I were in that larger pack getting started last week, it was the same way. And it took me it was probably about halfway through us being together, just the first couple miles, where I clicked and I was like, oh, Lee's the other orange guy.
Yeah.
Like, trying to figure out, because I was watching the riders nearby a lot. So I'm starting to figure out the layout of Bike Terra and kind of how to watch. And
I did the overhead.
It's pretty easy.
The overhead is a little easier for me. I got that from Felty. Instead of being first person or closer third person, the overhead allows you to kind of see people coming up from behind a little bit. It's not my favorite, but it is in Bike Terra. It's the one I prefer now.
Yep.
So, all right. Congratulations, Bike Terra. That's cool. Come join us on Fridays. I'm going to start trying to do that one more and more. The next racing thing I want to talk about is I watched Alan Lowe because I was still up. I got woken up at 5. There was a ECRO, is that what it is? I don't know there's like a race series, and he was racing, and he won his race, but he was doing a lot of attacks and breakaway stuff to, I think, soften it up for his turbo team. And then he did a final attack and won. And so he stayed away. I think it was like 3 or 4 seconds that he held off because no one like sort of countered and came over the top. And there was it was the Makuri Islands one where you climb, or Neokyo where you climb. But this seems like a very competitive race series that I didn't really know much about. Does anyone know what this is?
I believe that's the new chasing tour. Isn't that the
okay.
ECRO? It's where that kind of like the verified
very cool.
bubble of what it may be not verified. I can't remember the exact details, but it's like a separate organization that's trying to move forward with better racing.
Casual
but
competitive.
It is a chasing tour.
It's chasing tour people.
Yeah. It's the old chasing tour. I actually looked it up the other day, now that you say that, because somebody was doing it. I think Caleb was doing it, streaming it. He's doing it also. And so I looked, I'm in the chasing group in Zwift, so I opened that up, and no events are underneath their group. So I think they're setting up private events and sending links to people that have been approved to join. So
it was a fun race to watch. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. It's invite only, or they're making sure.
I think you have to get a link from the website to get into them now.
Yeah,
that's
which is good. Yeah.
But it was fun to watch him go and try to see if people were going to come, and then eventually people would come to meet him, and then they all came together, and then maybe it was a little counterattack, but then it kind of bubbled up again, and I was in and out of sleep, so I wasn't, my commentary is not going to be the greatest here, but to see that in Zwift, it was kind of nice. This sort of rolls into my next thing. Somebody posted, I don't know if it was Brian, the WTR, is it WTRL? I can't remember. The Zwift Racing League, or Z. Their rule set that's coming out. I don't know when this is coming out. Did they start? Are they doing a summer session?
Yeah, they're doing some sort of summer series. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And they're not allowing any fun.
They're not permitting
no bike upgrades.
No bike upgrades. They're neutralizing
the fun police now.
Yeah. So I want to hit on what you were saying though about Alan Alan's race, because I raced earlier today, and it was a 36-mile race, mass start.
Yeah.
Wow. So it started. I was so mad because they started the A group in the pin at the front, and the B pin was the back pins, and the A's shot out of there at like 8 watts per kilo. We never did get to the A's, right? It was mass start, but they started in the pins in front of us, so we never got to the A's. But we had a group
they started
of
ahead of you. Okay.
Right. They just started one pin up on us, and we couldn't close the 4 or 5 seconds down to them. Like we worked and worked and worked and worked. We finally caught 1A. But there was a Wahoo guy and a Coalition guy that were holding. They both had, one of them had a 5.7 20-minute on Zwift Power. I was like, holy cow! But anyway, it sorted out. Like halfway through the race, I get this random private message in Zwift from one of the guys in my group, and he's like, "How you feeling? You want to have fun or something like that?" And I replied and I said, so, but I'm always up for some spice or something like that. And he replied, and he's like, at 36 minutes, let's attack. Let's spice it up. So clock at 36 minutes. I dropped a van power up, and I followed his wheel out the front, both red numbers. And this was starting, basically it was the second half of the race. It was just starting the second lap of a 2-lap race. And, we broke that group apart a little bit. We had some fun. We did hard. Then he went again, and he got a little bit of a gap.
Without telling you, or telling you?
Without telling me. Okay. And so I sent him a message. So I'm like, okay, he's friended me, right? Like he's aided me a little bit. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to play team with him. So while he was out front, I sent him a message and said, I'm sitting, I'll counter if we catch you. So
there you go.
He held out there mile and a half. He stayed out front. We finally reeled him in, and the problem was there was some shenanigans, and guys were doing good, right? They didn't just slowly pull him in. We got within 10 seconds, and then one guy went orange numbers, right? Like they were actually trying to bridge. I was like, this is what racing should be.
Okay.
So we caught him, and I was still smoked. Like I was smoked from catching him because these guys were doing orange numbers to get there. But I told him I was going to counter. So I'm like, I only sat for about 15, 20 seconds when we got to him, and then I snuck off the front. And these were all, quote, B riders. And I'm like, I can't do a hard attack here. I just got 2 or 3 seconds, and I just set it at 4.0. and I just slowly chipped away because everybody was dead from chasing the last attack.
Yeah.
And I chipped away and chipped away. I ended up off the front for 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Within 15 seconds. Like, I was right there off the front doing 3840 for 20 minutes. And they finally got to a little bump in the road where they all put in a surge and caught me. And I completely like blew up when they caught me, because they caught me on one of those little bumps like coming out of the volcano. And and the guy texts me, he's like, when I catch, you need to react. I'm going. You need to follow me. So I was like, I'll try.
Yeah, right.
So as soon as we caught that guy that had friended me, he attacked and they dropped me. But I was like, this is what racing should be, right? Like, I was okay with it. 4 miles to go. I soft pedaled it in. They rode off into the sunset. But like, that was so much fun because they let me sit out there and dangle. And I was able to get a little bit of a gap at 3.8 or 4.0 while those guys were sitting at 3.2, 3.3 in a pack. And I'm like, this is what it should be like.
For people that are not wanting to sit in and
if you had
do
a
sprint,
Halo bike, you'd be able to hold his wheel.
I did have a fully upgraded SLA. I mean, I have a fully upgraded SLA, so I got a little advantage there.
I mean, in WTRL, especially with ZRL, I mean, they're being paid by Zwift to run these race series. I'm sick of neutralized bikes.
Yeah.
Like, why? Yes, some people teleported to gain an advantage, but we're 3 months now since the bikes. People have the Halo bikes by actually riding properly. So why are they neutralized in all of these race series? Like, is this a video game? Why even have Halo bikes then? What, to ride with pace partners? I mean, this is ridiculous, Zwift. Ridiculous.
I have one upgraded Madone, stage 5, and then I'm almost on the Tron Halo path. And I almost have one of the other bikes, you know what I mean, the first bike. So like at this point, there is almost, if you are riding Zwift with any regularity, you're going to be at a stage 5 or very close, you know. Now, granted, I may ride a little more than some people, but still, Casey has a stage 5 bike. I mean, I don't know. I just see it ruining that part of the fun of getting them. Like, I can get them, but I can't use them. What the hell?
And I could understand, like, if there's some of these side series, self-built series that want to neutralize that stuff. But, like, WTRL, ZRL, that is Zwift's own funded series. They're putting these things into the game, and then they're not using their new racing score. They're not using the upgraded bikes in their own series. I'm like,
and they're not using steering.
Do you not have enough? Right. And you're not using steering, the thing that sells hardware for you. Like, at what point, like, you need to commit to what you're adding to the game as worthwhile functions and make them a part of at least the series that you're endorsing and pushing, right? Like, they've taken all the good stuff out of their own series.
I see it as listening to the negative and catering to that, then going, you know what? We're going to go with everything you can do in Zwift and make it as fun as possible. And so if you can teleport and spend the time and do whatever you want to do and get the thing and, you know, enjoy it as much as you possibly can. It doesn't seem like they're like I said, they're the fun police now.
You are not going to get steering or updated bikes in a game to be like, I can't hang with this guy because he's got steering. I can't hang with this guy because he's got an updated bike.
I mean,
he might have an advantage, a little advantage, but it's not game-changing advantages, right? These guys earned it. Let them have it. Everybody has an opportunity to earn those. There's the argument with the steering. It's not available in all markets, whatever. Like, Zwift needs to figure that out.
I think it's a thing to kind of separate it from being a fitness test, which is, you know, if they neutralize all this stuff, they're just making it like Be Cool was when the first pandemic hit. Or the first pandemic, the pandemic, not the first one, the one that we've lived through in our generation. But it was like sort of like fitness test. It was all the time trialists just won because there was no bike physics, everything was neutralized.
Well, there was no need to even race. You could just go on Zwift Power and look at the start list, look at people's past history, and go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Like, there was no pack dynamics. There was no tactics needed. It was just who could produce the most watts for the longest time wins. So, and I mean, the bike choices don't make or break a race anyways. Like
no.
Brian has tested that a million times. Yeah,
we know it's a scam, but it's not so much a scam because it's one test by doing like the whatever draft free, you know, there's no Peloton, there's no nothing. You're working to upgrade your bike. You're putting the time and effort into it, whether that's, you know, standing around and waiting for somebody to climb the Alp and then just doing it. Like, you can skirt the spirit of the game. But if you're like, hey, I want to upgrade the thing because I want to have a better bike so that I can use it in the things that I want to do. And the most popular thing on Zwift, from lack of better information, is ZRL, whatever, and the Thursday time trial, right? Those are the most popular things outside of the group ride stuff.
2 most popular race series.
Yeah.
Tuesday and Thursday nights.
Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And you can't use the most coveted thing that they've been announced in the last 6 months is the Halo bike thing, where they went to the wind tunnel to do all this testing to come up with these cool little, you know, the roller skate bike and all the other stuff. It's like, I don't understand the logic behind that. Doesn't make sense to me.
0 cents.
Well, the one thing I have figured out though, if you do get into ZRL racing, if you want to drop a category, go do a ginormous 5-minute effort, your FTP will drop immediately.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Holy cow. Did you see my numbers? That's
dropped
crazy.
Huge.
Wednesday, I did a 12-minute effort at 330 watts. Zwift bumped my ZFTP up to 302. Like, that makes perfect sense, right? 12 minutes, 330 watts, a little bit less than 20. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. So Friday, I did 5 minutes at 375, which was like, I was at like 345 or 350. Like, I bumped my 5-minute effort by 20 watts.
Terra race.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did 5 minutes at like 370 on that race. It changed my ZFTP down to 278. I dropped 25 watts on my ZFTP by setting a 5-minute PR power. And I was like, nothing changed other than my 5-minute power, and it went off the charts up. And they took FTP away from me. I was like, are you kidding? Like, this is terrible.
If you remember, Casey, back when this all came out, I did the exact same thing. So whenever I had like whatever it was, 340 ZFTP, and then I go do a 6-minute PR, like say 400 watts or whatever the number was, and I went down to 328, went from A to B. So this has been a thing since the beginning of this race score. And it's...
Yeah. The way I explained it on my stream, the way I envision this, like visually, is like a teeter-totter. And the fulcrum of the teeter-totter is somewhere around your 12-minute power. If you move in, or maybe 10-minute power, if you move anything up on the left side, it lowers what's on the right side, which is your FTP. So if you push your 5-minute power up, if for whatever reason it's a straight line, so it pivots on that fulcrum and it drops your FTP down because it's on the other side of that pivot point. It makes no logical sense. And what I thought about this is where my frustration is if Zwift wants to use whatever metric they have to do categories, that's basically what that is that's their old categories that they're still using in ZRL. That's fine. But don't call it ZFTP, right? You're trying to equate it as your version of FTP, but it is absolutely nothing. It's nothing even close to the industry standard FTP calculation. So just call it a Zwift racing power, or like just take FTP out of the name of it, and it wouldn't be so frustrating. But what I struggle is the Ant Bevs out there, like they're going to take that ZFTP and plug it into base workouts off of and all that. And like for me, that's 30 watts off for me.
Yeah.
Right. And people that don't study this and know, they're going to be setting their FTP in games and in workouts and things like that based on a ZFTP. It's not a good metric for basing your workouts on. It's completely different. And by the way they've named it, people are equating it to an actual FTP, and I think that's where I got, where it's like this just isn't FTP at all, and they need to take FTP out of the language of it completely. I think it's misleading.
And this has a bearing on your racing score, right?
Not on your racing score, but it's still what ZRL is using for categorization. The ABCD categorization.
Okay.
That is still, I'm still a B, and I'm like, I thought I was getting close to an A because I'm losing weight and my FTP is going up. Well, now my ZFTP just went to 278. Like I can get down to like 155 pounds and still be a B if they keep my ZFTP there.
So this isn't working, and the Zwift racing score isn't working.
The racing score is not working, but I still struggle with if the score is bad or they've implemented it bad. So I did tiny races yesterday. So I got 3 top 5s, and I finished last. I was 10 seconds up with 0.2 of a mile to go, and I finished last. Like it was a hill finish, and I blew up. I attacked off the front, got off the front. I had 15 seconds. They hit that hill and just flew past me. But so 3 top 5s and a last place finish. My net change for those 4 races, I actually lost 8 ZRS points over those 4 races. I gained like 10 for each one of the top 5s, but then it completely smoked me for getting a last place finish, which it's one of those things where I struggle with it because my last place finish was a 30-second effort away from a win, right? Like, but I just completely blew up. But I was like, that's probably not bad. I ended the day with a less race score than what I started.
So it was success. Fun. I think we talked about this in the Discord. I said, is this still working? Or are you guys still convinced that this is a good thing?
If you look at Zwift Power and you look at the races have never been more even. Like the races are tight. So the class, and when you look at each different class, the races are tight. But no one understands how you go up or down in score. Like it's super confusing. Like it makes 0 sense. Like Brian White posted in Discord a race where the guy who won the race, there's only like 6 people in the race. The guy who won the race had like a 914 race score. Everyone else was way lower than him. He won, but his score went up. But like he was racing against competition he should have won. So why would it have gone up? And then there was people that didn't do well and their score went up, but they got beaten by people with lower scores, but they still went up.
And that score, in that race, everybody went up except for the last place finisher, right? Like, how do you finish next to last and go up? It'd be one thing to like stay even, right? Like you're not going to move forward because there wasn't enough soft, but you shouldn't move forward at next to last.
Yeah, like if you have a 914 score and you beat a bunch of people that have like 750 to 800 scores, you shouldn't be rewarded because they were like, you should have won. Your score should actually go down because, or stay stagnant.
So the consensus is the jury is still out after 6 months or however long we've been dealing with this.
It just works. It just no one understands how it works.
Okay. So if you think it works, but we don't care, it's like the wizard behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, right? It's like
there's been way less people complaining about it online because it does work. If you go to Zwift Power and you pick a race that's well populated, it makes sense. The classes are very tight.
Well populated.
Well populated, yes.
Well populated.
That was the point I was going to make. All of these weird things that we see are on these little tiny races, and to me, I think the root of this issue is not the racing
in participation
score.
races.
Yeah,
tiny in participation, right?
6 people.
The root of this issue, it's not that the score has a problem. It's that Zwift's participation in racing is so poor that I think if they actually got participation up, the algorithm actually works pretty well in well-populated races. I don't know what has happened, but Zwift's racing participation is terrible for the number of riders that they have. We used to have way more people in races when the when the total population on Zwift was much lower than this.
Yeah.
And that's what I can't figure out. It's like the racing population has gone down, but the general masses has went up a bunch.
Right, because I've done 2 Zwift races in a month. It was, I think, the 15th of April. No, it was the 13th of April and the 15th of May. And both have had 10 or less people. And that was, even when we had 2,000 total people, it was very difficult to find that low of a participated race. Unless you were Brian Kelson riding in the evening.
Yeah. Everybody else is asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is really frustrating. That's why I really don't like racing on Zwift anymore. Just because like I go to a race, there's 3 people. One guy's doing zone 2 to drop his race score, and the other guy, he has retired and has a lot of time to train. So I mean, it gets frustrating.
And that's been my struggle getting back on Zwift this week. Is I've had some good races. I had fun doing tiny races. I had fun in this long race that I did. But I was immediately reminded of those stupid things they haven't fixed yet. I was screaming during my tiny races because I just want to see up the road. And there was 30 people in my start pin. And if I was 15th in line, I couldn't see if somebody was sneaking off the front. Like, just get the dang names off my screen. The names off the screen, the starting pins on a mass start race, right? Quit starting the A's in the pin in front of everybody, right? Like, put us all on the
not mass start.
starting pin. We're starting at the same time in the same event. Put us in the same starting pin. I'm just like, So those little things, I was just like, I actually, like, I think I said it out loud on Saturday. I'm like, I can't believe I just gave them my money. I was so frustrated with that stuff.
As much as we harp on Zwift, it's just like a few little tweaks.
Yeah.
Like it's like they don't think of these things, and it's just like they're right there. They're so close.
Okay, so this goes into my. I know we're almost done, but I just want one last topic before we get out of here. The MyWhoosh update was huge.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I want to talk
about. We were speculating it, and we're like,
it was huge in size,
but not impactful in stuff, right?
It was pretty. It's pretty.
Yeah.
We moved from Unreal 4 engine to Unreal 5 engine.
Yes.
For the graphics.
Yes.
Did the SRC fix any of the under the hood stuff? I mean, that's what our speculation was, that I was going to maybe fix some stuff.
I got a hint that there are big changes. Well, I don't know about big. There are changes coming to draft and whatnot. I thought it was going to be with this because of how big the update was. Well, here, this was just all graphic related. And I can say MyWhoosh HD looks excellent. Like,
looks beautiful. Beautiful.
Excellent. And a side note.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just Zwift also had if you have a graphics card that has ultra settings, it had a update. I was riding the volcano and I'm coming down and like I recognized a orange shadow from the lava on my rider, and then I'm like, holy shit. So MyWhoosh and Zwift had both on the higher end devices had an uptate, but MyWhoosh's update the headlight too.
MyWhoosh's update broke everyone's computer.
Oh my god. So this is the part to where, and it might be, I think you brought it up, Kellison, about Zwift runs on old ass stuff.
Oh yeah.
And people, if they've been around Zwift, they can see where you can run something that's like 12 years old and still get away with Zwift.
Well, that's not the case with MyWhoosh. Like ThinkPad, like a IBM ThinkPad from like 2002.
Yeah.
Or 2012.
Like a 4 series CPU will run Zwift. And people just do not understand that. People try helping, and this is how you fix it, and they just don't want to take it. It's really frustrating. And I can see where MyWhoosh they just get inundated with these complaints, but it's like, what do you want? Do you want I guess, a pretty looking platform that for the most part runs pretty good?
We want it all, Brian. We want it all.
Yeah.
But Brian, you ran both versions of the game at the same time on your 1050 Ti graphics card, which is getting pretty old. It's getting pretty old.
I've got 4 PCs in the house that'll run Zwift. The 2 of those that are less than 5 years old will run MyWhoosh. The two that are older than 5 years old, they'll run 40, 50 FPS on Zwift. No way are they running MyWhoosh. No way.
Yeah.
Right? Like that just, and that's the thing is like public service announcement. If you are going on to eBay and looking at $150 used PCs with a GTX 1050 Ti in them, they are not for MyWhoosh. You can do that with Zwift. No. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
And at some point you have to accept that's the route there. Now, honestly,
unacceptable.
My home PC is not a great. It was a good PC when I got it, but it's 5 years old now. It's not. It doesn't technically meet the minimum spec for MyWhoosh, and it runs it just fine. I just ran 60 FPS, double dipping with Ruby, and it worked fine. But I've got to turn things down a little bit. I got to run on high or medium instead of ultra, some stuff like that, but it'll do it.
But is this like, I remember when, another RGT reference, the people are going crazy tonight. When RGT shifted and they did a graphic push, but this was a under the hood push as well to go, hey, the game's going to get better, but we need to do this first initial push, which is like a big one. This might be that what Brian is saying is with his reckless speculation that we're going to have more stuff coming, but they needed to do the big push to this new heavy Unreal Engine 5 under the hood. So it's going to push the graphics immediately, but then other stuff's going to trickle in. Is that what you're saying? That's like the reckless speculation here?
That's what I was, yes, that's basically what I wasn't directly said, but I was hinted at some things that said, it's coming.
Well, that's
and
good.
I don't know anything about Worlds. I don't know too much per se, but I do know that there are some changes to the physics.
Well, I think you have to update the engine then to be able to do the tweaks.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's no point.
That's the real way, right? These games should work is Zwift doesn't do engine updates, right? Like there is no engine, right? It's all thrown together, right? It's the Zwift engine. But like, to me, this is a good sign. If MyWhoosh is going to actively keep up and be using a modern engine, you're going to have hardware that keeps up with that. But that's also going to allow them to make a more efficient game, continue to push the boundaries on video quality, more stable, and things like that.
That's the thing. Is
and in the gaming community, this is totally a normal thing. Like most gamers would be like, "Oh, I can't run that game." Like, but in the cycling community, everyone's like, "Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right.
My 15-year-old laptop will not run MyWhoosh."
Didn't we have a CompuTrainer?
I'm back to Zwift. God, the CompuTrainer, Jesus.
The CompuTrainer, yeah.
Right. But if you're running,
what's funny is like all these people are running $1,000 plus trainers with their $1,000+ bike on their trainers, and they're like, I can't use a $500 laptop. Rage. Back to Zwift. Screw you, MyWhoosh. Yeah. Like the people are hilarious because everyone's like announcing, they're like, well, I guess I'm back to Zwift then. Screw you.
Yeah.
I love the ones, and I see this a lot. Like they don't say it, and they'll just be like, we need to update the HUD because I'm having a hard time reading this and I can't read that and all that. And like 5 comments down, they'll be like, yeah, I'm running an iPad mini. And I'm like, okay, if you're running an iPad on any of these apps, you can't complain about not reading something on the screen. Exactly. Like, come on. Like,
right on. I think we're over. Right. We're good. I wanted to squeeze that a little in there just to talk about that. We had the big update, but it was just more of a graphics push. So.
Yeah, and that's what really ignited the community because it's like, hey, big update, massive. And then it's like, well, what the hell happened? So then MyWhoosh is doing like some sort of like damage control saying, well, this is just under.
They overhyped it.
Because they made a big deal about, here, you got 20 gigabyte update.
Yeah, get ready for this huge update. There's going to be tons of stuff. And it was not, it was just sort of.
And it was nothing.
Okay.
But I have a massive piece of information that maybe 2 hours ago I came across. I received a direct message from Watt Games. They are now having early access, which I have a key for. And I will be testing it at some point. And it's not behind the scenes. It's able to be. I shouldn't say maybe I'm not going to stream it, but you are able to put out screenshots and different gameplay of it. He said that they want people to discover for themselves, but he does want some information going out. So yeah, and I will. I was pretty excited because I thought it died.
What games is the pedaling sort of like? It's like medieval.
It's like shooting things with cannons and getting chased by dinosaurs.
Hardclaws is a big fan. He's like, let's do what games?
I gotta check that out.
All right, we're gonna check that out. We're gonna get out of here. Thanks everyone for another lovely installment in Cast Cycling Show.
Hey, see you guys.
Good night.
I'm waving. This means goodbye.